reaction to those words now, because I'm joined by the Deputy Chair of the Conservative Muslim Forum, Naveed Asghar. Naveed, welcome to the show. You may have overheard London Mayor Sadiq Khan there calling Lee Anderson's comments vile, anti-Muslim, racist and Islamophobic, of course. Now, as the Deputy Chair of the Conservative Muslim Forum, what's your take?
Hi, Martin. So obviously it's been a very, very busy weekend. And look, as far as I'm concerned, the decision by the Prime Minister was correct. I've heard what Lee had to say today as well. And, I'm glad that Lee has said that his words were clumsy and that, he agrees that the vast majority of British Muslims are hard-working people. UK citizens make fantastic contributions to our society and their religion should not be blamed on a tiny minority of extremists. I just wish that politicians would be clear when they are saying things about, they should blanket, about Islam or Muslims, because that takes in every single citizen of this country. There's 4 million Muslims in this country, and a majority of them are hardworking. And where it comes to extremists, absolutely, they should be called out and the security services should deal with them. Not a single person that I know in my circle, in my lifetime, has ever said that they are happy with extremists. They cause untold terror and they cause untold grief, no matter where it is in the country or where it is internationally. There's no place for extremists, no matter where they come from. But Lee Anderson, I just, I hope he had been more clearer when he made those comments. And I'm sure when he made those comments, he didn't think that it would gain as much traction as they did. I'm glad the Prime Minister came out this morning and said that, the words were unacceptable. And, we are here.
And Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, was very clear he wouldn't say that Lee Anderson's words were Islamophobic. And as the Deputy Chair of the Conservative Muslim Forum, would you be happy to accept Lee Anderson back into the Conservative Party?
Look, Lee Anderson's been suspended, and look, already today he's been clearer with what he was saying, and he's not been expelled from the party. I'm sure Lee's a very good member of Parliament, and he does fantastic work for his constituency. So absolutely, there's always got to be a door left open. I would love to have Lee to stay in the party and work with ourselves and work with other British Muslim as peers, as fellow colleagues in Parliament to understand, maybe the wording was not correct what he used, and I'm sure he understands that now.
OK, Naveed, a lot of people have been getting in touch with us here saying Lee Anderson was only saying what many, many people believe. And isn't this the problem? It started with the very real perception that the streets weren't being policed with fear or favour on Wednesday night. There was bedlam in Parliament Square, bedlam which impacted what was going on inside Parliament, a very real feeling that the mob outside is poisoning our party political atmosphere inside. And isn't this actually, OK, in his usual subtle way, it's about as subtle as a note tied to a house brick. But Naveed, we all have a conversation about Islamist extremism, which actually most politicians and the media just try and sweep under the carpet.
No, we can't just target just Muslims or British Muslims going out to protest. Protest is something that's enshrined in law, and as a democratic country, all protests are allowed. But none of those protests should turn into violence. None of those protests should turn into extremism. And if there is elements in those protests, those people should be picked up. We have fantastic technology in the UK, where even after the event, cameras can pick people up, digital technology, social media, etc., can pick people up if they're holding placards, if they're doing things which are not acceptable or any crime. And then after these protests, plenty of people are picked up, but a majority of those people are law-abiding citizens. So we can't say because 2 or 3 extremists were picked up that the whole 10,000, 15, 20,000, how many people were on those protests. It's no different to people who are doing, the Stop the Oil protests or the Greenpeace protests. And as you know, they're also now using more and more extreme tactics. Protesting is allowed in this country, so we need to live with that. I totally disagree with most of these protests when they're blocking the carriageway and police can't get through, ambulances can't get through, they've glued their hands to the ground, etc. I totally disagree with those types of protests.
Navi, getting back on point to the Islamist extremists as they've been labelled, you talk about the vast majority, correctly, of normal, law-abiding, hard-working Muslims not being any part of this. Do you feel frustrated as a Muslim that these people seem to take all the oxygen out of the conversation? They seem to get all the bandwidth. And I'll put it to you bluntly, why aren't more Muslims speaking out against the extremists to sort of say, we're not like them, they aren't us, we don't want them either?
Because there isn't a platform for most, British Muslims to speak out against these things. So I think you're absolutely right. There needs to be more of a narrative for more people to come out. And I think the security services need to up their game to pick out these people from society, no matter how underground they may be, because nowadays a lot of the stuff is done online. But I'm sure the security services have the capability and they've got the people and the technology to pick these people up. We do not want extremists in our midst, no matter which culture, which ideology they represent. I'm open and clear about that. We want a open society, a robust, safe society where we all live. British Muslims have been in the UK for the last, 6-7 decades. My own family, granddad arrived here in 1950s up in Scotland. And they've made a fantastic life for themselves here, highly educated, contributing to society. And that's what a majority of Muslims want. The Conservative Party is not a racist party. Individuals within it might harbour some thoughts, and sometimes it might be, from the information they've received at a high end, something that might have happened to them personally, etc. But on the whole, the Conservative Party is a fantastic home for British Muslims. Their values align exactly with British Muslims. There's no other party here that those values align with. We like to own our own home. We like to be educated. We like to be entrepreneurial. We like to be business orientated. We like to be safe. We like to work. We're not people who want to be sat there on the dole and benefiting, sponging off the benefit system. So the Conservative values are exactly aligning, and this is what the last 15 years the Conservative Muslim Forum has been doing to engage with the government, and we engage fantastically. We have fantastic access to CCHQ and to Number 10 Downing Street, and we engage regularly with them. And up and down the country, Conservative MPs are doing a fantastic job of engagement. Up in Scotland, the Scottish Conservatives do a fantastic job of engaging with the Muslims communities.
Naveed Asghar, forthright, frank, from the heart. I want to thank you, for saying that. I mean, that is what we need to be hearing. We need to be hearing this moderate debate, this sensible debate, this inclusive debate. Absolutely excellent. Thank you very much for joining us. Deputy Chair of the Conservative Muslim Forum, Naveed Asghar. That was excellent. Thank you very much.